Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 8 of the CCS Apollo League. My name is Soren. For the last week of regular season, joining me on the desk is Septi. Septi, how are we feeling going into today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm feeling really excited. We have had a great regular season so far. We had a bit of time off, but you guys got to see some fun matches last week. But we are now here. It is the time to decide everything. Some of the games have been decided off screen. Some playoff placements have been solidified. But tonight we have two teams in Theory of Everything and XSV Rush who are trying to give themselves the best possible advantage moving into playoffs. What's on the line
Yeah.
tonight? We have Theory of Everything trying to guarantee their spot in the CCS Gauntlet. I guess I should explain because I don't know if Soren, we've explained how the Gauntlet works and how playoff works.
I'm not quite familiar, so yeah, let's do a
All
little
right.
bit of
Well,
explanator. Why not? Why not? We got some
do
time.
we? I know I'm kind of throwing you under the bus, MB, but do we have a playoff bracket breakdown out of curiosity? If not, I can talk it through. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about this during the break. We have gone into draft, but keep in mind, Theory of Everything playing for their placement lives in the gauntlet we have tomorrow. X3 Rush trying to guarantee that they don't have to play a gauntlet matchup themselves. But we are now into draft.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. So
yeah,
there is quite a lot online, even if it's not for like a crazy amount of seeding. It's mainly to just keep their current positions because if either team drop a lower position, their status becomes a little bit more sketchy. That would mean XSV Rush go closer towards that gauntlet and having to play a two extra game, or excuse me, at least one extra game. Meanwhile, a whole extra game as well for the preliminaries of the gauntlet tomorrow, fourth area of everything if they lose. So there is quite a lot on the line as draft is underway. First wave of bans. I don't
wow.
think anything too crazy. And that's going to be immediate lock. First pick, B1.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of playing Locust early. I think the champion is very good. I don't think it's at the level where it is be oneable. It's similar to Echo. It's a resetting Echo with a bit of a Pike ulti, but it's very abusable. Especially, I mean, I like Mel Seraphine into this. You're able to just really solidify your backline. You can stay safe for the most part from lock and really lock him down if he gets too close. For those of you who aren't familiar, Locke is a new champion. I don't know if he was on stream last week, but he is a mage assassin that plays very similar to Echo, and it looks like it's going to be Locke potentially in the mid lane for us tonight. As we see Jarvan and Senna locked in, a very strong pairing. Although Senna versus Mel is one of those matchups. I'm assuming it's Mel Seraphine bot lane. I could be wrong. It could be Mel into Lock mid. Um, Seraphine very solid in the bot lane. Very tough to deal with mages though, the Senna, because she just doesn't have the pushing power and the staying power in lane to exist versus these powerful intended to be solo lane champions. Pantheon locked in for support for the side of uh I'm forgetting the name already. Theory of everything. Thank you very much. Um yeah, no, solid trios on both sides. I'm curious to see how the lock plays. It is going to be a great partner though for the Jarvan.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, this could be a bit of a flex for the mill, but you'd imagine, like you said, with that pretty good positioning against the Senna matchup, I'm assuming they would want to have, ADC play the mill, get a little bit of APC action there, and I imagine this Pantheon is going to end up going jungle, and I probably just leave that flex open. If I'm them, I'm just keeping that flex open, keeping XSV on their toes, and just kind of making them think, especially when you have that counter pick being on the red side. As we do see final bans coming through, obviously a lot of focus on the top side for XSV and their bans, because obviously you assume that Pantheon's jungle, it could be a Mel flex, but it's almost certainly gonna be something mid or lower. So they're just saying we don't know if mid's gonna be this Mel or not. So we are just going to heavy focus the top lane and try to get the best matchup that we can in case they end up getting the counter pick or going for that R5 counter pick for the top side and making it a little bit more of a strong side. So we're gonna see that Scion go away. We're gonna see the Ornn go away. I think two staples right now in the meta, two really good tanks as well, really good frontline options that are get taken away, which is why I think we're seeing that Galio get picked up. I think
Yeah,
that's
that all
kind of the best of both worlds.
yeah, that all but guarantees that this mail is going to go bot. I will say Nar and Aurora are it's a little odd because Nar and Aurora are both Rumble counters. Um, and then they also picked a Rumble counter on 4. So I'm not sure I'm not sure if Theory of Everything are you know Giga braining a potential Rumble top as Zed's going to be the lock. Um, I I'm curious because that then means that this lock is either going to be support or it's going to be lock jungle Jarvan support. Zed for sure is probably going to play into wherever this Galio goes, unless they decide to send it top. Some pretty crazy shenanigans happening here for the time being. I don't know how much of a lock player Rutledge is. Zed as well doesn't seem like the type of champion they'd play, but it looks like it's going to be lock top for the time being.
Yeah, I that feels very strange to me. That feels very abusable, especially when you're going into the counter pick. Obviously that I don't know. Because that has to be Leona support. It's
Yeah, it will
almost
be.
certainly going to be Seraphine ADC. Yeah, I mean, unless you want the Zed to go topside, but I think either option there, both assassins both have obviously not similar playstyles, but similar weaknesses. Being that assassin role means that they're going to be pretty easily hard countered. Either option goes top, and theory of everything see that and just say, okay, we're gonna send the Mordekaiser in and just really focus down on a little bit extra tankiness up on the top side, but also the ability to just lock them into one spot with that ultimate. So uh, I don't know what XSV are cooking up. I'm hoping to see something because that feels like a really bad position they put themselves in by having two similar roles that are now going to be going both top and mid, regardless of anything else.
Especially now that you're forced to play into three champions that will never die to you right away.
Hmm.
Gallia Mordekaiser Pantheon will never die to the burst of Zed or Locke. Especially with the backing of Seraphine. This is a very interesting comp that Apollo has picked, or it's not the Apollo, sorry, the XSV has picked. Um, it sort of is just going to be the hands check you. I'm not the biggest fan, just because you have the
Yeah.
Senna, a champion that's meant to scale and be super useful to keep your bruisers and your tanks up in fights. And the fact that they haven't picked any real bruisers and tanks, I know you technically have Jarvan and Leona, but like they don't do enough damage to warrant the Senna keeping them alive. Especially when you have champions that are so safe on the other side. But Zed and Locke are going to be trying to look to flank from the peripheral side, from the peripheries of these fights. Um, and I will say, as far as targets go, neither of them are really that great. The Seraphine going to be able to uh, play very safe next to the Mel. The Mel being able to use the W to deny a lot of the damage from that Zed ulti should they pop it on them. And I mean, also more importantly, there's not really a lot of grouping up that's going to be done for Locke's ulti, nor will they die fast enough. Um, I will say this is the type of composition where if it does start snowballing in your favor, this rush team, it will be hard for Theory of Everything to deal with it because there are resets, right? You have Rutledge on this lock being able to reset and start dashing through your entire team. The Senna will be able to, I mean, ideally keep the lock topped up, and then Leona should survive a lot of the initial engagements in order to continue dealing out CC. Um, but I'm not really. It's one of those. It either works, 2 times out of 10, or it just doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely a high risk, high reward. But with that being said, of course, we do have to worry about spectator delay. But before we go, we're going to take one quick look at this theory of everything roster one more time, so you get a good look at it before we make our way. I do agree. I do think the XSV roster is high risk, high reward. I think theory of everything is actually really good. The only thing I can imagine is that maybe they're missing a little bit of AD presence here. They're relying on Pantheon a lot in that regard. But besides that, I really like this composition. It's kind of the protect the president or protect the presidents here in Mel and Seraphine. Just have a really bulky front line to keep them alive. That is also very difficult to get through. With some pretty good engage off the back of that Pantheon as well. So I like the composition. It's going to be really interesting for XSV Rush. But with that being said, we are going to send it over to a quick break. Let spectator delay do its thing, and we'll be getting right into game number one in just a couple of minutes.
It is time. It is the final week, week 8 of the Apollo CCS inaugural return season. But before we get into the game and while you're watching it roll out here, I do want to remind everyone for the final time of this regular season, and probably at the most important time, about our fantastic rage bait system we have here at the LCS. With playoffs coming up, it is all the importance in the world to have the mental advantage. So, if you want to piss your friends off or the enemy team live on stream, through pure CCS ingenuity, we have made that possible. For just 100,000 channel points, or with the usage of a free rage bait redeem per month subbed, you can get a rage bait to show up on screen, similar to how they do in the LCS for various tweets. But just keep in mind there is only one rage bait per subscription, and you get it once per month, and it's also first come, first serve. So make sure you get those requests in as early as possible. There is no carryover month to month, so use it or lose it. And make sure to DM Flay, Redacted, or a mod in the Discord to make that happen. And yeah, we are here. It is time. We are on the Rift, Soren, and yeah, Lock is top and getting shoved out of lane. Who would have thought?
Yeah, honestly, how crazy of this that how could we have ever known that the R5 counter pick into the AP assassin up on top lane would not have gone the way of the blind pick AP assassin on top lane? But yeah, that is going to be, I have a sneaking suspicion, the story of the game, at least until we get to the team fighting portion, because team fighting this is going to become a very different scenario, but at least for the time being, I'd imagine this Mordekaiser continues to have a pretty good presence, which as well is going to be amplified by the fact that the red side is absolutely winning down on bot lane. It's a lot to do with, please, JP the boss, please do not make me a liar immediately, as that is a lot of damage, and with the W proc, it is going to give a lot of healing. That's a flash used immediately. Relish is going to win this out. JP the boss just absolutely gets demolished up on the top side. That's a cast a curse and a half if I've ever seen.
No, I stand by what I said, Soren. That is knowledge diff. I guarantee you, JP the boss has not played against that champion a single time in lane. If they have, well, I don't think they've played this specific matchup. Or maybe they have, and I'm just being a complete jerk about it. But well played by Relish to be able to get that kill in the lane, managed to keep hold of their flash themselves. It looked good for JP the boss. I thought they were able to get their wave in, but got a little bit too far forward. As now Tilted Towers going in tier on the bot side, getting a big chunk of damage onto the Seraphine. And just to give a heads up to people who are unaware as to the name of the support on XSV Rush, Tilted Towers is a... Oh, wow, never mind. Holy moly, my bad. Absolutely blown up with all sums.
Yeah, that's just one dead Senna. The kind of finish your thought there. It is the same player that is still Brecky. They are just going by Tilted Towers for this matchup. So it is the same and normal starting support for XSV Rush. It is just a different username for the time being, as we do finally see that reset up on top side as JP the boss is present, but Relish is immediately going back in.
Yeah, what I will say from what I noticed about early on in that matchup is Relish was very aggressively using their mana to trade in this lane. And if JP is able to, I mean, JP doesn't have any health potions, so it is going to be very difficult for them to actually survive here, as Relish still has flash. Should be able to walk out of that one. And now Caxi is going to be super extended here on the map. And if we take a look at Queenie, they have already been able to base and reset for their first buy and are already hitting their second spawns of the camps, while only now Caxi is finally going to take that reset. A critical time in this game for junglers to make sure they're getting their early XP. And I mean, Queenie could even look to get this first crab for themselves actually on bot side, which should be nice for them. And potentially look to bother Caxi as well, who is now out on the map working towards that Sundered Sky of their own. But yeah, no, nothing happening. Queenie just going about her day.
Yeah, that is going to be bottom scuttle taken by Blue's side there, which is actually going to be a massive boon for them, as first streak is up in 10 seconds. As, oh, Brecky is going to get hit by that. Unfortunately, no stun coming through, as they do just juke out of the way. pretty good trade coming out as they do some good damage onto the Mel. That's a flash in for a root, but there's not enough support from behind as Mel and Pantheon are just a little bit too slow. Angel has to play it safe, but
What?
goes back in and just gives the kill over to Theory of Everything. As a massive Pantheon wasn't even really particularly needed there, just showed up to give a little bit of presence, but in the end,
Oh.
it's going to help give them a little bit of pressure down bot side, and they're going to start the Drake.
Yeah, I mean, I think this Mel champion is fair and balanced in the bot lane. I think these 80 carries have a chances on the top side. JP the Boss gonna pop the death run here against Rutledge. Great health gonna heal them up, but the health currently going lower and lower for Rutledge. Flash available, but Queenie is here. Gonna save their top laner. JP the Boss trying to use the shield to walk this one out, but the nails, they are being fired, and Rutledge will just flash forward and pull them out, getting another kill to their name. JP the Boss, unfortunately, lane is not going in their favor, and with all the time spent bot, Queenie was able to capitalize on that. Is now looking to take Caxie's camps, and Daigen is on the top side with really no one to support. And I think Queenie is getting scared off because she thinks surely there's someone there to support the Seraphine who, ooh, Odysseus going low.
Odysseus. Odysseus, okay, does get out. Wow, very chaotic. This is a game of two different halves of the map. The bottom side for Theory of Everything going absolutely smoothly. Everything's going great. Top side, absolutely bleeding out. This is a real big struggle position for them up towards the top end, but it's the exact opposite for XSV, which very frankly, I mean, I know, I think a lot of questions about Locke are still up in the air as he's still a relatively new character. But I would be a little worried. Obviously, we know how fair and balanced Mel is as a character. So the fact that she's already 2-0 is very scary. And she does have a lot of scaling. So she could become a real big problem. But I mean, if JP the Boss doesn't start at least neutralizing this lane and keeping it in a stable spot, they are going to be in real big trouble. As we do see the re-engage, Rutledge is taking a lot of damage, and now here comes Caxie with the low health bar. There we go. Stun comes through with the heroic entrance coming from Galio. Is going to keep the top laner alive and is going to finally put an end to the reign of Locke up on top side.
Yeah, critically as well, the kill going over to JP the Boss to sort of help them stabilize this lane. Should be able to get a nice bounce going in their favor as well. No sums on that top side used anymore, but Queenie is now here on the bot side. No flash on this Seraphine here. Oh my.
Okay, that's a big stud, and yeah, they're just gone. Encore used. Doesn't even matter. Cannot find anything, and that is just going to be one dead Mel, who's going to have to sit and watch this gray screen for a little bit. So now both sides putting in efforts to stabilize their losing lanes, and in the end, I think it just makes the game state pretty darn neutral across the board. The Mel's been shut down. The Locke's been shut down. Both sides are going to have a little bit of a wave push after those engages. And Daigen's going to get a tower plate by himself. So a nice little bit of chunk of gold to the support, I guess. But yeah, that's going to help neutralize and kind of stabilize the entirety of the map, which should, at least in theory, become a little bit more neutral, a little bit more stable across the board.
I heard some
support's already
I
roaming.
heard some doubt in your voice that there was that the gold was going over to the Seraphine, but I am a subscriber to the if an enchanter gets an early kill or some early gold, it is a good thing. They're able to start harassing more. They're able to get to their supportive items faster. As now Rutledge gonna get brought into the death realm again, trying to fight this one out, but this does not look to be as good for the XSV top laner this time, trying to pop the ulti to get them lower and lower. JP the Boss now here getting support from their jungler as well. It will be a kill going the way of Theory of Everything, and now with the grub started up, it could be risky for Queen to be starting these, but with the support of Tilted Towers and the rest of their team, could spell disaster. Ulti over the top from the Senna. I'm completely stealing your jobs, Soren. I apologize. Odysseus is here now, and it's going to be so far a 1-for-1. Jungler's dead. Flash from the XSV support, and it will be, I believe, 2 grubs now secured for XSV and 1 going the way of Theory of Everything.
Yeah, I mean, XSV are going to be happy to at least get the 2. They're not going to win out the fight, but they are able to get the grubs and the buff from it, so that's going to be good for them. The big problem is that was actually a lot of kills overall that now are being very, very quickly being siphoned but if it's specifically to that Mordekaiser as well as the Mel. They are the only two members on the team that have kills, which is going to become a real big problem for XSV, as they are probably some of the biggest threats on the board for XSV and for Theory of Everything to have working with them. So that's going to be something that they have to take into account.
I will say it is actually a pretty big thing that XSV did deny that second grub from Theory of Everything. Looking at their composition, they are not a team that very well that hits towers very well. They don't do a whole lot of structural damage. It's sort of just Mel and maybe Galio every few seconds with their passive auto, but Mordekaiser doesn't hit tower as well. Seraphine doesn't really hit tower as well. So to be denied those grubs and that percentage damage is a little problematic. But as we take a look at item completions, it is going to be completed items for the mid jungle of XSV, as well as that Rylai's picked up for JP to boss. And alongside that exhaust, it is going to be very difficult for this lock to play the game. And I have seen, Caxi getting engaged on here.
Yeah, but immediately the heroic entrance coming out from Odysseus, and are they going to get the taunt? Yes, they are. That's going to put RIW in an awkward spot, forces the ability to get away, but that's a lot of investment here, especially as Drake is up. We're seeing the wave clear come out from Odysseus as both teams are looking to try to have a say for this Drake fight.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to get set up for it here. Again, no grand entrance is going to be, or sorry, heroic entrance is going to be real problematic because Angel dodges the root from Malayden.
Okay, and the Encore comes through, finds both of the bot laners. That could be tragedy spelled out, and it absolutely is going to be, as one gets exploded. You'd imagine Tilt the Towers is not long for the world either. Nope, double kill going over to the Mel, and they want more. They are thirsty for blood. They are going to try to find the Zed, but are going to be unable to do so as he teleports away to safety, but they're going to hit the blast cone, and they're going to get the Drake on top of it. That's going to be 2-0 plus the Drake, all in favor of Theory of Everything.
Yeah, no, great team fighting from the side of Theory of Everything, being able to pick up both kills there. They get this second dragon as well, and when you have the dominant bot lane in this Mel Seraphine, this is exactly what you want to be doing. You want to be putting the Senna on a clock. You want to be putting the lock on a clock. I know, it rhymes. Very funny, haha. But it's a real strategy to make them fight you earlier than they would like to. I will say Locke, is a champion that scales very well, is able to consistently be strong in fights given their executability with their ulti. And so the earlier you're able to force them to fight you and to respond to plays around the map, the earlier it will be and the more plausible it will be to end this game early. As, taking a look at the gold, it is more or less, it's about 1.8k in favor of Theory of Everything, and I'm pretty sure that's purely on this Mel here, who has been doing such a good job in this game of harassing Angel, apart from that one exchange we saw on the bot side. And with 2 dragons secured with this Ocean Soul, which I will say is probably not the greatest soul this game for either team. As we take a look on the top side, I believe we had an engagement during that bot skirmish, and it will be potentially Relish going down, I believe. And yeah, great play from JP to boss to get that kill and continue to extend that lead on the top side. And given the way this early game has gone, Soren, for the Theory of Everything top laner, what grade do you give them for the bounce back?
Right now, if it's just on right now, it's an A. I think JP the boss is actually doing really good. They were bleeding out very hard early game, but they've not just stabilized, but they've gotten a pretty good control. On top of getting that pick, they also got the Ignite out from Rutledge, so JP the boss has the advantage in this next encounter. So I think right now, everything is kind of going the way of Mordekaiser, and Rutledge is starting to be the one on the back foot. But it's a matter of the marathon, not the sprint, as that's a lot of investment for a scuttle. But both teams are going to try to take a bit of a skirmish, one on bot side, one up on top side. But it looks like after a little bit of poking and prodding, both teams are going to say not right now and are going to back away. You have to be close. You have to be safer than that Brecky, who's going to take a lot of damage in that small trade.
And it was the trade of Flash for Queenie to get out of that Dragon Pit. They did flag and drag into the pit away from the initial engagement, but then were locked in to that pit and forced to flash over. And it looks now as though the jungler of XSV is looking for a play onto Daigen, trying to force the Panic Flash from the Seraphine, but it will not be the case. And now with Pantheon behind, we'll use the Cataclysm.
Okay, Sentinel comes through, but the Encore finds so much. But here comes the flank from the Zed. A lot of low health bars. Caxi finds one. Can they find more? The heroic entrance comes through to give a little bit of reprieve. Caxi is still alive despite burning up, but will eventually fall. Now it's just Odysseus in the 1v2. Has a lot of health, has a lot of armor, but I don't know if they can live through the full onslaught if they want to keep this engage going. But they're still trying to take this poking and prodding. Angel is more than happy to sit there and do the damage.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, all of that for a 3-for-3 is pretty nice if you are the side of Theory of Everything. You're able to get out of that by only losing those 3 members, as well as you get the TP out of Rutledge on the top side, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, actually. I wasn't quite sure how the lock got there, but it looks like their teleport is available on the screen. I could be wrong. But I mean, we saw the damage, and this was sort of going to be something I brought up just now. The Zed in these fights is going to be an absolute menace. I know we talked earlier about how if the Mel and the Seraphine are able to stay together, they're going to be such a strong unit versus YRW on this Zed, but Seraphine is forced to use all their spells early and is far away from their Mel. Gets one shot by the Zed. Unfortunately, the ulti from the Mel not doing enough damage. And we see this Mel trying to kite away, but it does not matter. The Zed is giga farmed in this game, goes down in the end, but was able to trade back enough kills to make this one an even one. And the Ignite onto the Pantheon unfortunately takes them down. And now this Zed 3-1-1 with 10 CS per minute. This Herald goes the way of the red side here. Is nice. It is, I mean, the gold lead is about the same. You're able to start increasing the pace of the game if you use this Herald well. Dragon spawning in 30 seconds time as Encore gonna land onto one.
Yeah, that's a lot. The ult comes out from the Mel, but it does not do enough damage. Mel is trying desperately to find one on the way out. It is absolutely going to, as they just explode their counterpart. And now they're going to be able to find a second on the board. Meanwhile, we have the Galio taking the fight down towards bot side. They're not going to let Brecky get away. We see the mid lane matchup play out in River, but YRW needs to play this carefully because there is reinforcements coming through. And that is going to be it. The taunt is going to force out the reposition from YRW, and that's going to be 2-0 as they also get the Drake. As Theory of Everything are taking firm control of the game now. The gold lead's still relatively close, but all the momentum is on red side.
Yeah, this play starts out really well for the side of XSV. You only are caught by the Leona, or you're only able to catch one with the Seraphine ulti on the Leona, and then the turn is so nice. But Senna just gets too close and gets absolutely blasted by the Mel passive, and then it's just a routine chase down by Caxi. Getting the flash as well off of Tilted Towers is just the cherry on top. And as we look on the bot side, YRW used the ulti on Odysseus and was not able to find anywhere close to enough damage for lethal, and in the end it was forced out. And we're now on sole point for the side of Theory of Everything, and the clock in the game just got a lot faster for XSV. Looking at the top side, looking at where this lead all started, it is not enough of a lead. It is not any sort of lead for Rutledge on this lock. They have the Ignite, no flash available to them, but I mean, JP DeBoss has turned this one around, granted with some help from their team, but the Mordekaiser is finally showing out to be the sort of counterpick that Theory of Everything were hoping it was going to be in draft. And now with the support of their Seraphine on this top side, we might be looking for a potential bait in from Rutledge, but there are others around, both junglers here. The Skyfall is here as well from Caxi, as well as Jarvan is around either top laner, daring to step close enough to engage. And it will just be JP DeBoss backing away, taking this base, probably looking to complete, which is what I hope. I actually have no idea what JP DeBoss is building here with this item here. I can only assume that it's going to be. I actually don't know which MR item he's going for. Quite sure.
I mean, neither. I will say there's one thing that I don't think you noticed or you haven't mentioned yet that I think it's going to be the big difference maker as we start getting to this mid to late game here. The fact that Mel is currently sitting on 2 items.
Yeah.
and XSV, Angel only has one right now. There is a pretty big, on top of also having the Dark Seal and having two Dark Seal sacks. So there is a pretty big stat difference between these two ADCs. And on top of that, that's not even to mention the CS gap. So those 6 kills plus the CS gap of what, about 60, 50, something around that lane, is really starting to make a difference, which is why we're starting to see this Mel become a real force all around the map, as they are no longer restricted to that bot lane. And we're actually seeing Galio just go and get a lot of the farm on the side lanes, which is actually even scarier because Galio is still doing incredibly well, 1-0-4, and is outright standing toe to toe with their lane opponent. Zed is doing a lot of work when they're able to get to the back line of Theory of Everything, but every time they walk forward to the top or mid to top, they are just struggling, as they just do not have the damage right now.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, YRW has been forced to go for this early Serpent's Fang. It will sort of take some of the sting out of their bite for the time being. They are still farming very well, 10 C per minute, 3-0 or 3-1-0, and as we can see, the burst on to his Galio is not nearly enough. As gets caught by the taunt there. Aftershock will make the damage even more negligible, and not being able to invest in something, like more early lethality and like the Serildis Grudge is just gonna make taking down this Galio near impossible. And with just a Serpent's Fang, Odysseus is doing so much damage to the Zed. That is so hard to play. This is your counter matchup. This is, you had your pick of the litter into the Galio. This Zed, while it is very strong inside, I question whether or not it's going to be able to start clearing waves. Is now taking the shadow behind. Might be forced to pop the ult here, YRW. Yes, we'll do so.
Yeah, YRW pops the ultimate and just does not do anything with it. Another big cooldown that has to be taken into account. So we finally see that Rift Herald that was taken a rather long time ago is going to
To knock
make
the tower down.
a scene. Yeah, that should just be mid-tier 1 gone. But we do see the engage. It's going to be a 3-on-3 as one member still has to play back to defend the turret. But the damage is there. And that is going to be a big find, as the Heroic's entrance is just a little bit too late, along with the TP. Don't mind the Mordekaiser, who is absolutely breaking. At least the model is. But now, 4v4. Lacking a little bit of extra. Big taunt finds two, but can they find the follow-up? No, they can't. But a little bit of mispositioning from the Leona might just be the doom. There we go. It's finally a 1-for-1. The engage from the Galio does find one, but there's no follow-up. And now Red Side has to back away. Theory of Everything, maybe a little bit too greedy. Odysseus is certainly going to fall. And here comes YRW. Remember when I said they don't do a lot to the tanks, but they could do something if they find the back line? Well, there's Mel. And Mel is vulnerable. If they're able to keep up, they're going to do damage. It's chaos in mid lane. It's practically an ARAM. Daigen is already back into the fray. Encore goes wide. Angel's being run down, is not going to be able to get away. And in the end of this extremely long extended fight, it is going to go the way of Theory of Everything. Though, man, it was messy for both sides.
Yeah, and it's gonna be at the end of the day, it's gonna be a 4-for-2 in favor of Theory of Everything. That fight had gone so long that Seraphine was able to rejoin, and with all that said, Dragon's Soul is on the map. Jarvan is dead. Queenie not gonna be able to contest the smite here, as it looks like this should be a formality for the side of Theory of Everything. As we get another look here at that play, it started off so boring. It was nothing doing. It was just, some grouped up farming of the mid wave. And honestly, after the initial play, I thought it was kind of crazy that XSV decided to go in for this fight. I thought it was a little bit premature for Tilted Towers to be there. They pop, again, the Herald. Surprised that no one got in. I think the Seraphine Daigen sort of griefed their flash a little bit, held it too long. And then the response from Theory of Everything seemed as well also too little too late. Only now do we start getting the TP and the ulti from the Galio. And by that point, it should just be a free disengage for the side of XSV. But because Tilted Towers gets too close, and because the pressure, I imagine, of this, I don't even know it. I think they get baited by their own Senna W to go back forward. Then Tilted Towers tries to find a way to start warding around the map again, thinking they're safe to walk through that choke. But it was not the case. Odysseus is so strong and so tanky on this Galio that they are just able to go where they please. And then again, they bait themselves into this fight further. Very nice turn from the side of Theory of Everything. Just means that it is impossible to execute for the side of XSV, and YRW, without that ulti from the bot lane exchange with Odysseus, is unable to leave a real impact on this fight. And just with all the healing, with all the shielding, there is just nothing that XSV can do, and a very well played fight and a very well executed overall engagement from the side of Theory of Everything.
Yeah, that was a fight that very well could have gone XSV if they just backed away after that initial skirmish, but instead they elect to try to stay and get more, and because of that, they are pretty heavily punished. During that replay, the Drake was secured by Theory of Everything, which does mean that they now have Ocean Soul. That means Elder Dragons are what we are fighting for. It's going to be up in about 5 minutes and 30 seconds, but that's not the first major objective that's now in play. Baron is also now hitting the rift. So there is a lot of objectives, a lot of movement here for XSV if they want to get back in control of this game, though they do need to do it quickly, and they need to make it clinical here because Theory of Everything are in a position where pretty much any win they can get, if they continue to stack them together, they're going to be able to just start looking towards ending this game pretty quickly.
What I will say is that was a full burst combo from Rutledge onto Odysseus, and it barely did, a tenth of their health bar. So it is going to be pretty problematic for them to stay in the side lane as well as, oh my god, that's a lot of damage from the Zed. Gonna be brought to Brazil.
Exact opposite. Okay, Death Realm comes through. JP the boss is gonna get very low, but finally the Death Realm comes to an end, and Pantheon is waiting with open arms for that Zed to leave, and that is gonna be one dead mid laner. And while on mid lane, we're now seeing both bot lanes take residence and just try to farm up and continue to put pressure down this crucial lane. This is getting a little sketchy for XSV. They need to start finding some wins, especially now that you have JP the boss, who is very firmly just side laning and putting so much pressure up on top side.
XSV can take comfort in the fact that the Baron start for Theory of Everything is not very good. It will be stronger later once, JP the boss is able to pick up their more damage over time items, as we see a full all-in from Rutledge onto Odysseus. But Queenie is here, the duo is here, but it will not matter. It gets flag and dragged, and there will be no support for Odysseus. Just kidding. As the Grand Skyfall comes in, gets the kill onto the lock, as the Grand Entrance as well from Odysseus will provide extra CC, and it will be the turnaround kill for Odysseus and Caxi versus the jungle top of XSV. Very well played, and a very well-timed engagement from Caxi to come support their mid.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance!
But not for me.
Him. Yeah,
Ooh,
that looked like it could be devastating. Oh, that's just two dead members of XSV. Never mind, it's gonna be one, but they are barely gonna get away. One more stud up, and that is just a dead Leona. But with that is just gonna be Baron. I mean, they're missing their top, they're missing their jungle, now also the APC. This is just looking disastrous here, as Theory of Everything are gonna start up the Baron. Almost certainly it is known by XSV as there's just no vision on anyone and no vision on the Baron, but at the same time, there's literally nothing they can do. They just have to sit back and watch, because there is not enough time for them to make their way up and have a say. That is the Baron secured. No quick recall, however, so they are going to just immediately try to put pressure on this mid lane. I imagine that's just because only a few members were in close for items. Yeah, okay.
No, I had to deal with that mid wave before you can base. Otherwise, they'll be able to pop the crystals and knock down that tower pretty instantly if you allow them to push with that wave. But no, I mean, this Baron is almost perfectly timed to end around the time of Elder spawning, so it will mean they should get a full Baron and a full push from this buff for having to play for that Elder. And in 2 minutes time, with these 4 dragons to their name, Theory of Everything are looking to put an exclamation point on this game number 1. And they've just been playing really well, I'd argue. Apart from the shenanigans top lane, and maybe a few flashes that have gone by the wayside, this Theory of Everything team has done a solid job making sure that they play around their strengths and don't get sucked into the fights that XSV are trying to bait them into. They've been turning well I will say again, maybe that mid lane fight they turn a little bit earlier and it's better for them. But I mean, for the time being, they're doing a really great job. Caxi and Odysseus are playing their semi-globals very well. JP the Boss has not turned back after getting this lead on the top side. And all of this said, Soren, it is only a 5,000 gold lead in favor of Theory of Everything. So it's not insurmountable, but as we discussed in the pregame, for this XSV comp, if it is not ahead, it is struggling. And now, with, I would argue, half of a wave clear champion in this Senna, it is going to be tough, as maybe now this is the time Koda's looking to go for this engage.
But the heroic entrance finds two. Flash over the wall for Mel. That Senna ult does absolutely nothing here. Daigen is stuck in an awkward position. Is just gone. That is just one gone Leona. But I don't know if there's enough follow-up to really find too much value, as YRW has to back away.
Ooh, hold on.
Low health bars come through. Okay, taunted up. Reki is going to fall. But in comes the Zed trying to find the re-engage. It's a little
Odysseus
messy.
is taking tower,
it's a little
going
chaotic. Okay, pops lasagnas to stay alive. The rest of the team is here, and here comes back through on the push out. They're going to be able to find this turret, maybe even the inhib, but those low health bars mean that they just need to back away. Zed is not going to be found, is going to be able to get that recon piece, but it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah, that fight looked so good at the start for XSV, as we see now a TP in to support the team from the side of Theory of Everything. And all that time, that was a fast 2 minutes. The Elder Dragon is now on the map, and with one inhib down, with the top waves very much so in the favor of this red side. And the vision. There is not an ounce of vision on this bot jungle here, but the little ward there in the mid bush could prove pivotal here, as it does spot Daigen, but even now, that ward will be swept. JP DeBoss is caught out for the time being. Does not have that ulti available to them. Encore onto 3.
Yeah, but that is going to be a huge engage. YRW tries to find a flank, unable to do so. Odysseus tries to dive in, but their opposing laner just goes in behind. And that is going to be 2 members down. They still have the meld. That's going to be some boon for them. They also sell Pantheon, so the jungler is still up. There is a means to contest this if they wish to try. Yeah,
Look the supers.
This is going to be sketchy, especially as they are not burning this down. This is going to be a long take. Oh my, they have 2 waves that are about to crash. Mel's going to go down, but all of this is just stall potential. I think they're more than happy to stall this.
He doesn't have any vision in the pit.
Maybe 1 or 2 more. Okay.
Caxi can't see the dragon here. Is trying to find an angle.
Hey, Caxi's gonna fall. Caxi, heroic entrance is gonna go find 2. This is a really good stall, but eventually Elder's gonna go down. Caxi is gonna certainly fall, especially with the Elder buff now in play. Odysseus, I don't think he's gonna be able to get out either.
Ooh, TP in from JP the Boss.
Oh, JP there's no more turrets. There's no more turrets.
JP the Boss has ulti. If someone TP's in that cannot kill them in the ulti, he will just end in his own ult.
Okay, it is Rutledge, but that is a lot. Oh, but no, he's not going for it. He's not going for the Nexus. He's going for the fight with Rutledge.
What are you doing?
No, disaster. JP the Boss, and now it's run through, and there is no one to support. The game was in your hands, and you threw it away.
All right. Let's take a breath, Soren. We talked about 90 seconds ago, there was a 5,000 gold lead in favor of Theory of Everything. That is no longer the case. It is now a 2,000 gold lead in favor of XSV. Granted, they have no Nexus towers, but they are able to farm 2 super waves. Baron is spawning in a minute's time, so they are going to have to deep push, but they should have the Elder Dragon to allow them to take this. And it is so tough now. I feel like if you're Theory of Everything, you have to go for some, I mean, maybe you don't have to, but I think this game is going to start slipping away from you. The lock is on 4 items with a 10 stack Dark Seal. The Zed is almost finished with their items as well. Mel is on 3.5 items. This Leona is becoming unkillable. And I mean, yes, you have a lot of damage, but you're starting to fall off. You don't really have much sustained damage over the fight. And if your Mel is not surviving the Zed all in, or even a percentage of the Zed all in, it is so hard to play. Critically though, Theory of Everything, they have 2 Zonias and they have a Mikhail's on this Seraphine. So anyone caught by the initial Leona engage, so long as it is not the Seraphine herself, could potentially be saved here. As They're checking the Baron, and it looks as though Theory of Everything are trying to hit it, or we're trying to sneak it for the time being. But the Dawning Shadow will spot them out.
Okay. Again,
Now
very
is
little vision available for XSV, which means they're not going to have any information. They know everyone's in the area, but not quite where they are.
they're gonna face check still with Elder available,
Yeah, this is going to get
trying
a
to
little
walk in.
sketchy. You could see Theory of Everything is backing away. They're respecting this a lot, but I think this is pretty good for Theory of Everything. The
Elder is
longer
timed
that
out.
XSV, yeah, the longer XSV just want to dilly-dally, the better. That is going to be huge, but the Heroics entrance finds absolutely everyone. Cataclysm into the backline, but I don't think it's going to do anything as Mel is just absolutely free-firing.
Oh my goodness.
Odysseus pops the Zanyas, and this might just be it, folks. That is 3 members down. Angel desperate to try to get away, but the engage coming from the Pantheon, raining hellfire from above. Caxi finds it. One turret is back up, but I don't think that's gonna be enough to hold back the full onslaught of Theory of Everything here. This game, I believe, is done and dusted.
Yeah, a very, very nice recovery from Theory of Everything. I would argue the end there was just a very big compositional diff, a great flank as well from this Mordekaiser here, JP DeVos, showing that they were, they were power scaling in that game. They had a bit of a whoopsie towards the Nexus. They don't guarantee to end there with the Mordekaiser ulti, but they definitely could have damn sure given a try. Very well done. I mean, they were able to wombo combo very well. No one actually threatened the Mel on the backside there, apart from Queenie, who landed a very nice Cataclysm, I think, in that entire fight. But the Mel damage was just far too much for this XSV side to deal with. And now they are up against the ropes. XSV trying to hold on to this guaranteed playoff spot. Again, I mean, they need to win this to secure it. They are still alive for this spot if they lose every single, or if they need to win at least one game in this series to go to tiebreakers versus, I believe it's Skyloft Spire, who is currently sitting behind them in the rankings. But I mean, this game sort of went how we expected it. It was a bit of matchup knowledge diff in the early game for Rutledge on this lock. And a very good turnaround in the end again from JP DeBoss on this Mordekaiser, who was able to rein it in and sort of get it going. But I think the MVP for me in this game absolutely has to be this Mel. Has been playing so well the entire game, was able to really abuse the Senna pick. Which again, I'm not really the biggest fan of. I think Senna struggles into mages. Um, but still, very good job. Was able to scale some great duo play from the Pantheon and Galio as well, trying to guarantee that those side lanes are very secure. And I mean, if this is what game one was, I'm excited for game number two, Soren.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was a very clear game plan here for the side of Theory of Everything, and it ended up working out spectacularly. Even though, and very frankly, there was that 3K goalie that went over to XSV towards the end, and there were very clear moments where Theory of Everything had a really good goal lead, but it was nothing ever crazy. The big thing for me is that at no point until that moment, that big explosive moment where there was the swing back for XSV, even though it was only about a 3K gold lead, it felt like it was a lot more for Theory of Everything. Theory of Everything felt like they had the momentum going into every single fight. They always felt like they were the ones in control of the map, which is always a really powerful thing to have, even if the gold lead isn't that firmly in your favor. But with all that being said, obviously it is a best of 3. We are only one game in on the night, so we are going to send it over to a quick break, let the players go get water, use the bathroom, all that jazz. And when we get back, it is going to be game number 2 to see if Theory of Everything takes this in 2-0 fashion, or if XSV keeps life alive for their chance at their spot in the playoffs. Alrighty, we are getting underway here. Bans have already begun. Obviously, this is fearless, so every character picked in game number one is not available. I'm not expecting to see any big changes here, Septi. I mean, besides the fact that we have swapped sides, so theory of everything is going to be on our blue side this time around. XSV electing to get that R5 counter pick, but besides that, I'm not expecting anything crazy in the bans.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember game one bans. I don't remember Garen being banned out. I do remember the last time we were seeing Rush played. Iron was a big ban against Queenie. These are some. You know what? I need to remind myself every now and again that this is Diamond 3 and not like M100 or M500 when I see these bans. Because if I were seeing like if I were seeing Ivern and Amumu, I would must be thinking like these players are literal one tricks on these champions at their current ranks, but no, they're just annoying to play against. Which I mean, hey, I think they're still good champions, and if you could play them well, then it is tough to play against them.
Yeah.
Especially after champions, like Zed, like Jarvan are taken away, which means that buying Serpent's Fang is a little bit harder unless you play champions, like Kiana, like Nefiri, like Ambessa. But Victor will get locked in a very, very, very solid champion in that mid lane. It also is technically flexible to the bot and the top lane. I'm curious if we will just be seeing more mages bot from Theory of Everything. They look pretty confident on that Mel, and there are a lot of Victor champions or Victor counters around. Wukong, not one of them, but it's definitely a champion that pairs well with some of those counters, like Akali, like Oriana. I actually
Yeah,
don't even think that is a
absolutely.
counter. I think it's just anyway.
Uh, I I imagine that would be mid, but the flex is there. I guess there is always like the plausibility of that going bot lane because we saw them pick their bot lane pairing early. They locked in the bot lane pairing first. In game number one, so in theory, you could say that this is, but I imagine this is still gonna go mid. I'm more interested to see what goes next here. I'd imagine this possibly actually,
It's probably
it doesn't matter. I was
jungle
gonna say,
and
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say jungle to keep the feasibility of a flex, but I forgot that they get the next two picks. So, um, if this does end up being the support, I feel like that does kind of help lean towards whether or not this is gonna be the
Nope,
bot
doesn't help at
lane.
all.
But no, does not help at all. So flexibility is still up in the air, but that does mean that they are going to have an early top lane counter pick if they wish to use it here, because that's almost certainly going to be your top lane.
I believe it was Theory of Everything who banned Gnar and Aurora last game. Um, Possibly for the setup for this Yorick, Ari will get locked in. Um, Isolation, that red side comp looks very solid. With the knowledge that Seraphine is gone, I don't like it as much. Ashe is still very good on her own, but without that Seraphine, it is not as potent. Uh, so I'm curious as to what sort of support they decide to go with it. I feel like a lot of the times, um, it will be sort of it could be a lot of things actually here. I feel like Braum will be good. I think Milio is still very good, especially when they're showing Sejuani. Um, I I don't know where I sit power wise. I think that the solidity of this blue side comp is very strong. I think that Victor Sejuani is a very strong mid jungle should they decide to go for it. York is a very independent top laner. And I imagine Theory of Everything is just going to try and ban away counters that Rutledge might go for, which, you know, rightfully so. I think Rutledge is a very counter pick dependent player. With respect, of course, he's very solid on those counter picks, but is definitely a champion, a player who um, performs better with counter pick than without. And so, being able to see their champion should potentially lock in this top lane, this top laner on for Rush. Um, and I'm curious then to see what they decide to pair with this Ash on 5 potentially. But we're approaching the end of our second phase of bans. Blitzcrank banned, which signals to me that they want potentially something like a Renata, maybe, or I think Melio still is also very good. Braum is an interesting ban. It might signal that Rutledge is maybe angling towards like an Ornn. or something to just be that anchor on the top side.
The Lulu band here does make sense as well. Enchanters, you imagine it's going to be an enchanter one way or another. I think I agree. I think Millie probably is best option here, if not one of the best options. Um,
They should pick top here. If they
uh,
pick support, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, they should. Just like logically, they should. They want to have at least one counter. If they pick the support here, they're throwing it away. Because no matter what, they already have the counter for this top lane. So, yeah, okay.
It's
Top
all
lane
right.
is gonna be locked in. Yeah, I mean, if Renekton gets ahead early, if Renekton plays aggressive, I could see that going their way. But also,
But don't get me
the
wrong, this
problem
red side
is,
is a very solid stock standard draft template. Like if
yeah,
someone handed me this draft and said go play it, I'd be happy in 90% of my drafts. I'm probably still happy in this draft. I just know that in this top lane matchup, there is going to be a lot of ganking, and there is going to be a lot. And when I say a lot of ganking, I mean a lot of ganking. Poppy support looks to be the play, which signals to me that it will just be Victor bot, and they're going to try and counter mid here with something. Because Poppy plays similar to the Camille's and the Jaxes of the world, where she'll just go Halo Blades and just try and beat you up early, and then just leave and go somewhere else, and just allow their mage to farm. I could be wrong, but I think this is probably going to be a mid lane or another mage um, from the side of Theory of Everything.
okay.
I know
So
my
that's gonna
stuff.
be Viper.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
that should be
you know
mid
your
as
stuff.
well for the Vigar. I think it could be. I don't
I
really
mean,
know which is which, but yeah. Now we're gonna see what
I
XSV decide to answer with. I still like the Milio.
yeah, I like D'Amelio too. I think the whoever goes mid, the Vigar or the Victor comes down to what this final pick is. I'd imagine it's Victor. I think Victor has a little bit better range. And it's okay. Yep, there we go. Billy. I think it is going to end up being this Victor. I think Victor has a little bit better range, has a little bit more potential. Obviously, you want to get Victor ahead. I there's obviously really good stacking for Vigar, but I personally think that Victor is probably the bigger threat of the two. Vigar, if they get just unruly, can absolutely scale out of the game. But I think Victor is the easier choice to get that scaling done personally. So I'd imagine that's going to be the mid lane Vigar with the APC Victor. Um, yeah, my big worry is the top side. I know they had counter. I like the Renekton to the extent, but my big thing is that it really feels like Renekton's going to
Tough
have
to
to be involved
yeah.
in team fighting, and they're going to have to be involved in the fight. Which, if that is the case, York is just going to go whole breaker and is going to run it down top lane. Is
So
going to make them suffer every single time.
here's unfortunately the playbook for this. Milio is going to be forced to anchor bot lane with the Ash, just because Milio roaming around is not really that potent. It is strong with the Wukong, but it is not nearly as strong as pressuring with the Ash. Poppy will be free to roam wherever she wants, whenever she wants. And so even though Renekton was picked into the Yorick, I don't think it's that great of a matchup. Yes, you have Slice and Dice to get out of the baby cage from the Yorick, but I don't think it is that impactful. I think Yorick I think as we take a look at Theory of Everything here, this is just going to be a pretty stock standard pick. It is not confirmed which mage is going to be going in the bot. I think either is fine. I think Victor probably is going to be going mid. I think it's just a little bit more of a solid mage. I think Vigar sort of can be that wave clearing, um, stacking 80 carry on the bot side that can also threaten with the cage should Ash and Milio get a little bit too uppity, and allow Caxi and Daigen to. I mean, it just works great with Poppy, right? Because you have the cage, and then you can headbutt them into the cage and stun them.
Yeah,
Um,
fair.
so a nice little bit of synergy there. I think Caxi should probably just be pathing up and allowing their top laner to farm and be as aggressive as possible on this Yorick. And realistically, like they're just gonna scale and be annoying. And Odysseus and Ellie. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce Theory of Everything's 80 carries name.
Aline
I, is it?
Alinlin?
I
Alinlin?
it looks like
I
it
I
looks like
don't know
Aelin
either.
Lin. It looks like Aelin Lin but I could
Oh,
ask them.
Alan Lin. Yeah, I think you're
I'm
right.
not sure. I'm
Alan
not
Lin.
sure. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm just gonna refer to them by their champion name and role and team for the time being until someone either tells me or I find out in various different ways. But I think they're just gonna be chilling bot side. Daigen and Kaxi will be roaming as a duo, trying to make the Wukong's life as annoying as possible. This Sejuani as a champion identity is just completely low econ. And so if they're able to disrupt the Wukong farming, it is going to be very good. And if we could take a look probably at this side of XSV is now probably the best. Yeah, I mean, just starting at the jungle matchup, I said that, Sejuani and Poppy are going to try and disrupt Queenie as much as possible. I stand by that. I think if this Wukong gets set behind and it gets harassed in their own jungle and gets pushed off their camps, not only is it tilting as a Wukong player, it also is very impactful. This champion requires items to be useful. Um, I would say in this game, I think Queenie needs to skip the Triforce and go straight for a Sundered Sky. I think that item is too expensive for the amount of gold that she's going to get this game. Looking at the top matchup, we said it before. Rutledge on this Renekton, very solid counter pick player, but I think it's going to be very difficult when you have the entire map staring at your lane, looking to support the Yorick scaling as much as possible. I think the matchup to
Yeah.
watch will be YRW in this mid lane to sort of be the skill check that will allow XSV Rush to play. Because if Ari is able to be unlocked from this mid lane and start pressuring and diving with Angel and Brecky Hill, as well as potentially diving with Rutledge, that is sort of the angle by which Rush need to play to get themselves in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I did hear confirmation from our production that that is end up going to end up being the Vigar on mid. So I actually got the right
What?
call. I'm making
What?
the read there now, Septi. But with that being said, we are gonna let it go and have spectator delay do its thing. When we get back, we're gonna be jumping right into game number 2. Do not go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with game 2 of XSV Rush versus Theory of Everything. Rush trying to guarantee their spot in the lower bracket of our playoffs. Theory of Everything trying to maximize their chances of making it in through our qualifying group. We have some potential shenanigans going on the top side, and there will still be a ward placed by this Victor in the mid bush. Popping that early bone plating is super important. Angel actually evening out that trade by taking a tower shot, but very big impact so far on that bot side.
Yeah, notably, immediately a little bit of trading back and forth, but that is also going to give a lot of pressure for this red side down on bot lane. They are going to firmly have the advantage, especially seeing as it is double range for the red side. Meanwhile, it's going to be melee support for the side of Theory of Everything. So Theory of Everything definitely going to have a little bit of a slower start. I can almost see the exact opposite of what happened in game number 1 happening here, where bot side was heavily won by Theory of Everything but lost or super early on top side. I could almost see the vice versa happening, and them struggling down here on the bot side, especially with the Victor into the Ashe. I think Ashe is definitely going to have the advantage early on, but this Yorick I think is going to prove to be a problem for Renekton early.
I mean, we saw just in that little exchange there how powerful it is if Ashe is able to even land a little bit of damage while the Victor is outside a tower. And it will just mean that, Daigen is going to have to be very careful about what times they leave to go on roams, as well as how much chip damage this Victor will take while they are in this neutral state here. It is very good that Angel is playing like this. They're denying a lot of creeps. They're making sure they're keeping their farm up well. Tilted Towers, making sure to use their relic stacks well. And as we look at the map, both junglers are going to be pathing towards the spot lane, which is not what I would have thought in this game. It makes sense for the Wukong to path down, but I'm sort of surprised that Caxi is matching this pathing. But with the wave now bouncing away from Theory of Everything, I say bouncing away, Angel is not going to let it bounce. It is just going to go right back onto the tower. And so they're just going to guarantee or try to guarantee this crab for their Wukong as we get a nice little split screen here. As well as, yeah.
Big shout out to our production, making the magic happen. As we do see that top lane matchup continue to go the way of the Yorick. Caxi is in the area and could have a say if they want, but like you said, so is Queenie. But it looks like Caxi is going to be more than happy to give up that scuttle and make their way back towards top side, while scuttle is secured without too much issue by the Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, nice read by Caxi, seeing their bot lane as having no prio as JP Boss is in range of Q flash autoing Rutledge to get that kill, especially with Grasp. But now is stuck in a really weird spot. Rutledge on TP, so won't really be able to punish it for the time being. But JP Boss with no mana and the wave in a really awkward bounce state needs to get that fixed to get themselves a base. And it looks like they should be okay as a big trade going the way of Angel and Tilted Towers. And finally, JP the Boss will be able to get their recall off. And it looks like Caxi, I think, is going to be going for an interesting build here on the Sejuani here. I think that's going to be a Zeke's Herald on the Sejuani, if I'm not mistaken. It could be a Protoplasm Harness first, but I imagine in this game they're going to be wanting to go for as many uses of that Glacial Prison as possible. And I only just realized this, Soren, but there is a cleanse on YRW in the mid lane.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. That is absolutely the case. I mean, I'm not too surprised, especially when you do have that Sejuani with the I was gonna say with the Vigar as your lane matchup, but at the same time, I mean, if you're stunned up, there's very little. The outplay button is the outplay button. Whether or not you're a stun makes a little difference to Vigar, but I guess that is still a big problem, especially with how much CC is built into the kit of Theory of Everything. As we do see the engage come in, Rutledge has to be a little careful here. It's a 3v1 dive. But Daigen goes a little bit wide. He's going to tank 2 tower shots, and that's going to be first blood over to the Croc as Daigen just absolutely misplays on the top tier 1.
A donation, we'll say, from the side of Theory of Everything to the XSV top laner, who is already going to be on that Caulfield's Warhammer. So a combination of good farming as well as that kill is going to be super nice for Relish on that top side. And to add, you know, more to the cake here, it's going to be XSV starting up this dragon as well. It's similar to what Theory of Everything did in game number 1 when you have that pushing bot lane and you have that earlier game composition. Stacking dragons is so important to start putting Theory of Everything on the clock. Yes, you have good scaling on the Vigar and the Victor and the Yorick, but how can you reach that scaling if the enemy team is on soul point by the time it's 18 minutes into the game? It is going to be so difficult for Theory of Everything to, you know, control this dragon stacking as Dominus gets popped.
Okay, Rutledge trying to find something, but JP the Boss has to flash away just to survive. Is going to try to go for the back. Could be interrupted here by the Croc if they would like, but actually, no. Yorick does get out for free. Meanwhile, Odysseus, very low on mana, is going to get hit by the Charm. Very low here. Don't know if they're aware of the poppy. Goes X Flash, but look how awkward of a position this is.
Oh, burns.
W is able to find one. Ignite comes through, but there's just not enough gap close onto the Ahri, and Ahri's going to get away scot-free after finding that pick.
Yeah, a very nice usage of that relatively new rune in Deathfire Touch as Victor getting a nice engage and a nice trade with the Ashe, who's not quite level 6 themselves. And so the ulti will chunk them down and try and prevent this potential dive from the balling of XSV. As on the top side with the Maiden, JP the Boss in full control of this push. And even though there are 2 kills in favor of XSV, it is only an 800 gold lead in their favor. And it looks as though we might be looking for another play onto this top side. I will say there's no flash and no Dominus onto this Croc. And with the wave going again under tower, is Relish going in though?
Oh yeah, and here comes the Poppy. They are not going to make the same mistake twice. This time coming in from behind, and that is going to be finally first kill going over to Theory of Everything. It does go over to the Sejuani, which I don't know if that's the best. I mean, it's great for actual team fight of the 3.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a super big problem, but
yeah, I don't
you
think
obviously would have liked it to go to your Yorick. But I mean, as long as you're not getting dove on the other side of the map, you don't care who the kill goes to, because Yorick will keep pushing in. We'll start denying CS. Look at the CS lead already for JP the Boss in that top side. It is 20 CS 8 minutes into this game. Whereas if you look at bot side, this is exactly what we expected. The Victor pretty much on par with the Ashe in terms of farming. The problem with going for plays in that top side, and something that Caxi has to be careful for, is Queenie has just been able to free farm this entire game. And with the start of these grubbies on the top side, we'll just be allowed to potentially take these top side. Queenie should have tried to play a little bit more aggressively, I think, in Theory of Everything's jungle, especially considering you have so much push from your bot lane that the Victor and the Poppy are just not able to respond unless the fight goes super long. But it will not matter for the time being. Queenie will go back to hit her own camps, as now the notification that Sejuani was on the top side all along pops globally. And the on the way pings signal to the bot tower, but I'm not sure if there's anything there for this Wukong to go for. And while this is happening, again, just Sedge is now going to be able to clean up her camps, cycle down to the bot side, and cover their ball lane. And look at the Victor. Can we pan to the Victor real quick, if possible? Just sitting under their tower, just not partaking in any of the shenanigans on the wave, just waiting. Knows their job, knows that all they have to do is scale into this game, and is going to do that to perfection. And while doing this, Queenie tried to go for a play on the bot side. Look at this. This is exactly how you want to play it. To all of you people who want to pick up on the mage bot lane trend, want to be the annoying bot laners in your solo queue games, just pull the wave, be annoying, scale into the late game. And I mean, this is perfect. They're more or less even
farming
on CS.
simulator, if I've ever seen it.
It's farming simulator. The tower is still relatively healthy. The top, it's still got an extra plate on it compared to the top lane tower. And I mean, you're gonna be down what, 4 CS if we don't miss that one. Is Angel?
Oh no, Angel has to pop the flash. I don't know if they're gonna be able to get out. Ignite comes through. Okay, they are gonna be able to escape. But that's a great play. It keeps them in lane a little bit longer. It offsets this recall, and it's for the ADC themselves. Sejuani's now in the area, so if they want to make a play, they can, and they absolutely are going to. Angel is gone, done for the world, but Daigen is going to die. Unfortunately, too long under turret. Ash tries to find something. Here comes the flash. They need to be able to get out, but I don't think Victor is going to be able to do anything. They're going to get a little bit of extra tower gold, but that is going to be it as the reinforcements come in force. But man, I mean, I do think that does help out Theory of Everything. That helps close the gold lead. Actually gives them a little bit of one. I mean, it's only a couple hundred, but it does give them a little bit of gold lead. Does end up costing them the Drake, however.
YRW didn't have to use anything on that bot exchange. Ooh, Charm goes wide.
Yeah.
I will say, Daigen is here. Going to use the W early as Spear Rush gets popped. And this could be critical to stopping the dragon take. Kaxi knew that Queenie started the dragon and tried to create some pressure on the map to force the ulti out of YRW. Now, with their mid laner at half HP and the Victor coming back onto the map, it's going to be harder and harder for XSV to play this dragon. It doesn't matter. They're going to get shoved off.
Comes through.
Gets stunned.
That's a huge stun, and that's going to force the reset on the Drake with the TP coming in. Health bars might be a little bit too low. They're looking for Angel, but now JP the boss comes through. Queenie has to be careful, or this they might be sent to the meat grinder instead, and that is absolutely going to be the case as Alex on the Victor continues to do their job nobly, and Kaxi, after finally pushing their opponents off the Drake, forcing the reset, are going to have the opportunity to take it themselves with the rest of their team. They're going to be able to burst through rather quickly, but it doesn't even matter because the bot lane is just certainly going to be gone. Lost to the world. Angel is deleted, and Brecky has to back away. I mean, Odysseus is chasing, but I don't think they're going to get anything more out of it.
Yeah, I mean, just like that, the entire power balance of this game has swung. I was just going to say before that in exchange that YRW getting the kill on the bot side was going to be great for the sake of XSV. They're going to start being able to get the push in the mid. They're going to be able to start moving around to start playing the lane. And while that is true, it's not nearly as impactful when, Alex and Kaxi are so fed now in this game. And yeah, I mean, JP the boss just kind of knocked down this tower. Quests are completed for, I believe, most parties. I actually could be wrong. I'm not sure if the quests are completed for this Victor. Does not look like it for the time being. I believe their boots are still in their inventory and not on the side. But it doesn't matter. I mean, 2 towers already for this Yorick. And the champion is going to start being a big problem in these side lanes. I mean, yes, Renekton is a bit of a... I mean, it's a counter in the sense of it's going to be solid the whole time. But the gravity well not going to be able to keep Ahri locked in place. There's a very nice ulti from Kaxi. Will catch the ulting Ahri, and the cleanse is so late from YRW. That's just going to be a kill going the way of Theory of Everything.
Yeah, and the entire time all of that's playing out, by the way, Rutledge is just up here hitting turret, which sounds really good, except for the fact they haven't been able to get rid of the turret itself. Meanwhile, JP the boss took a whole turret, and now, yep, here comes Daigen. That is just okay. One dead croc. Bye-bye. Enjoy the gray screen as it is just a trio up on top once more. I think that's the third time poor Rutledge is having to deal with it. First time was able to get away. Not so lucky the second and third time around, as now the control of the game is now firmly in theory of everything's favor. What, just about a 3K-ish gold lead, a 3-0-3 Sejuani, 2-0-2 Yorick. I mean, even Victor is now 2-1-2 with a first item completed. So Victor's
How
now
much
going to be
damage
an
does
actual
Yorick
piece
do
on the
here?
board.
One,
Oh
two,
my
three.
lord. Okay.
That's one item.
I mean,
That's one
yeah.
item.
Remember how I
Oh
said
my
that the
goodness.
entirety of that last fight, Rutledge spent the entire time
Yeah.
dealing with top tier 1 and never took it? Yeah, York has almost taken 2 turrets in its time frame in which he just
I
was
think you mean
chipping away at
3.
1.
I think you mean
Oh my
3 because they
lord.
took top tower, took bot
Oh, they
tower,
did also take top. Okay, yeah, my bad.
and then
My
did about
apologies.
80% of that top tier too. Yeah. No, I mean you're not
Jeez,
wrong.
Yorick.
I do agree that great for Relic he gets to hit that tower. Very bad for the rest of his team that the Yorick is around the map. Also, not the top laner. If you had made me guess, not the top laner that I thought would be TPing for an early dragon fight, I would have lost that bet. As though an arrow gonna land onto Alex, Gravity Well gonna try and stop the Ashes advance, but it
Angel.
will not do so. Very nice breath of life from the Milio as Alex is going lower and lower. YRW trying to find a kill onto the 80 carry of Theory of Everything. Will finally do so. Gets a reset. Charm going to go wide, though, as now Queenie is here trying to support their team. Daigen will fall shortly after as Caxi now running for the hills. As a 2-0 going the way of XSV, and Odysseus is here. Gonna try and stabilize this play, but with the pop of the item for Caxi, that will signal the end, and a very nice engagement from the bot lane, from Angel on this Ashe, and trying to claw this one back. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. Top lane things. Look at JP the Boss. All of that fighting for Yorick to just hit the Herald anyway, despite his teammates being dead. Nice. Very cool. Very fun.
He's going to be spotted here, but I don't know if there's much they can do. I don't think Renekton can really do anything, and everyone else just got hit with the recall, so that is just going to be the Riptail going over to Theory of Everything. Yeah, sure, give it to the Yorick. He's not doing enough turret damage. He's not clearing enough of the turrets.
Rutledge, what are we doing here, big dog?
A three-man gank on the Rutledge?
No slice and dice.
Just one more. That's enough slices! It's enough ganks! This Rutledge is gone. Bye-bye!
Oh my, Daigen is here. Gets the slice and the dice.
It's 4! It's 4 this time.
It is 4.
Okay.
What are you gonna do, man? You gotta try and find some way to be positive about it. A great TP as well now from Alex here on this Victor to be able to go down to the bot and cover. I mean, I know that JP the Boss and Caxi and Daigen have been doing all this stuff this game, but I mean, Alex on this Victor has been absolutely selling his soul to play a mage bot, first of all. And second of all, has been doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, has been filling the holes that their team needs them to do. And it's just been, I mean, the ultimate role player, and will eventually just do the most damage on the team to champions. Damage to turrets will for sure be JP the Boss, as they're on the inhib tower at 17 minutes. And they're going to ride the Herald towards mid. Look at mid-tier tower, please.
Oh, yep, they're drifting. Yeah, bye-bye. Now there's no means of escape for Brecky. The wall comes up. Angel, you're not allowed to leave. Oh, no. As that Rift Herald also gets a second hit onto the tier 2 on mid. Oh, it could be disaster, especially as now Drake is up. Alex is going to be getting low, but
you have cleanse, YRW. You have cleanse.
But here comes the Vigar. Sejuani's still alive.
And look who Queenie's walking towards. Into the waiting arms of the
Queenie.
Yorick.
Oh no, Queenie. Yeah, bye-bye. That's gonna be Drake secured as well for sure. Rutledge just has to back away. Yeah. Oh no. When was the last time York backed? Is York just like about to get a full item?
York had Triforce and I want to say a Tunneler the last time they were in inventory. And yep, turned that into a Jock Show in the last Whisper. Very cool, very nice, very fun. Yeah, I don't think York is very strong in this game. I don't think JP the Boss is.
I think he needs a buff.
Yeah, York for sure is the weakest champion in this game. Very nicely done though. Again, on this champion, I will say I wish the farming numbers were a little bit higher for how dominant they've been, but I think that's more credit to their teammates than it is to the Yorick, as YRW does not have the Spirit Rush, does have the cleanse, but you can't cleanse yourself out of the box. Down goes the mid laner for XSV, And now 1v0 in this bot lane. JP the Boss will just push for free as Rutledge now trying to do the same on the top side. Pops the Dominus, trying to find a kill onto Odysseus, who has the ulti available, and the skill button has been checked. Down goes Rutledge, and a 2-for-0 across the map for Theory of Everything. The walls, Soren, they're closing in.
And they're crumbling. The walls are crumbling, and it's at the hands of Yorick, by the way, who just took another turret. There's no one on bot side. I have a sneaking suspicion tier 3 is just gone as well, as they have to hold this mid tier 2. They just need to.
1, gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no, just kidding.
Oh, sorry. You were about 2 seconds.
I was off
late.
by 3 seconds. My bad. Oh, JP the Boss, though, I think is absolutely dead. Dodges the arrow.
Dodge out of the way. Daigen goes in. Are they going to be sacrificial lamb? They might just be. JP the Boss is finally felled and is finally dealt with.
YRW.
I don't know if you want this fight, YRW. I'm going to be so real. I do not think you want the smoke. I don't take the fade. Okay. It's not worth it.
I need to say something now because it is very important and a trap that a lot of teams will fall into at this point in the game. Yorick, yes, is absolutely strong and has been an absolute monster pushing. But if you take a look at the map, there is nothing. There are no towers, really, for Theory of Everything to play for. And I would argue that the rest of their team, yes, are strong, but I don't think they're scaled to the point where they can just do what they want on the map as Caxi and Odysseus are here. Bishop Prison going to land onto the Milio. No Breath of Life available. Gets skill checked by the Vigar. Goes down right away, and Angel will fall shortly after. And it doesn't matter what I was going to say because I mean, they walked through Fog of Vision. They are able to find the flank onto the bot lane, who I'm not sure why they were pushed that far forward. But it doesn't matter. Mid-tier 2 goes down, and now all the tier 2s are off the map for XSV, and those walls are crumbling even more as we're looking to break open mid-inhib tower.
No, they don't have quite enough of the wave, but yeah, that is just no control of any jungle now for XSV. Drake is up in about 2 minutes. Baron is available, and that's actually probably very scary for XSV because right now there is a lot of damage on the board for a Theory of Everything between the two mages as well as the Yorick. I think they can actually burst down Baron pretty darn quickly.
Ooh,
they're going to try to go for, yeah, a really good outplay there to not get hit. Alex needs to back away, though, as the full force of the entire team is coming in. But Odysseus, a little out of position, and JP the Boss teleports into the middle. Don't think it really matters as the teleport
shield is still not broken.
Yeah, Maiden's now in the fray as well, just trying to do some damage. Just the entirety of XSV just back away. There is nothing they can do now with everyone in mid, and they're just going to say, oh, you want to back away? Great.
So
here's Baron.
So XSV used 3 ultis. There's a massive wave stacking on the bot inhibitor, and Theory of Everything used nothing. They used the TP shield that you get for upgraded teleport on top lane. And yeah, as you're saying, this Baron is just a formality. It is going to be worn by Theory of Everything. Purple looks like a nice color this time of year. And Queenie, enough find JP the Boss. Still no Cyclone, still no Spirit Rush. I don't think there's really much here, as Maiden will almost single-handedly take down Queenie and at least bring them to half HP. And I mean, does JP the Boss know he's on camera? Is that why he's emoting?
He has to know he's on camera.
There's no way.
He has to expect
that can't be possible. That can't be possible. But anyway,
that or he's just the average.
He's just in that kind of mood.
Are you a fan of hockey by chance, Sefty? Are you a fan?
No,
of hockey?
I mean I'm not a fan per se, but I appreciate sports.
Yeah, there is like the joke that goalies in hockey are just like a different animal. Like they're mentally they are just crazy. And I really just feel like okay. They get over the side, but Queenie, bye-bye, Queenie. You're gone. Bye-bye. They do have Rutledge coming in from the flank. Rutledge not having a lot of impact so far this game. Can they do something here? They are going to find Odysseus, but Daigen's still in the area as well as Caxi, and they're going to be able to find two. Rutledge making this a possibility,
don't look at the
especially
base.
as
don't
they
look
do
at the
also
base.
lose a PC. Don't look at the base. It's all going
don't look
well.
At the base.
It's going amazing for Theory of Everything.
I don't think JP the Boss can end, but it's going to be very close.
No, they won't. Not with the charm. Not with the charm. Not with the charm. They're going to be able to take it down to half.
Take a breath.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Sorry, a quarter.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. We're good. We're good. Not even close. Not even
Not
close,
even
baby.
close.
That's an ace for the record. That's an ace for XSV Rush. They cut that gold lead. You know what? It's the as you made a hockey reference. Are you a fan of basketball?
Not particularly, but
Okay, well there's
I'm
a
a
meme
casual
where
enjoyer.
there's a meme that goes around where a guy hits a three-pointer to cut the lead down to 43.
Oh yeah,
That's sort of
yeah,
what that ace feels like.
yeah.
As
I mean,
it's
if
gonna
you're
be a
gonna get the
dragon though,
trade,
going the way of XSV, and that's gonna be really nice. It doesn't do much other than deny the pace at which Theory of Everything are going. They did get all the Barons off. Yes, you are down to 0 Nexus towers for the time being, as well as a top inhib that is down. And JP the Boss is, I mean, on 3.5 items. Uh, is working on 2 separate items in their inventory. I'm not really sure why. I don't actually know what they're building with that winged moon plate, but we will find out for sure. Odysseus working towards the funny magic hat. Uh, and I mean, this is okay. Now we're in the part of the game that I was gonna say earlier on before I was rudely interrupted by Theory of Everything when they caught the bot line of XSV out. It's the point of the game where there's not a lot to play
gonna
for.
go
As
for it.
Arrow, I'm gonna get
Oh, they're
interrupted
just gonna
again.
go for
Doesn't
it.
matter.
Okay, stunned up, and that's just Rutledge gone. Probably the biggest threat on the board has been removed. They're focusing the clone, however. That could be disastrous, but they can only get away for so long. Angel's gonna fall 5v3. They have the wave. They also have the Yorick in the area. That is going to be that tier 3 gone. The turrets on the Nexus are nowhere to be found still. They have not quite regened. There is absolutely nothing protecting the Nexus besides these last 3 members. They need to hold the line. They need to stop the walls from crumbling, but they are not going to be able to do so as the Nexus falls before them.
A nice little 2-0 as they get ramped up for the playoffs. Theory of Everything looking really solid on this composition. I will say, I think Alex has sold their soul to play Mage's bot. Um, as does every AD carry who plays Mage's bot. You have sold your soul. It is what it is. But I mean, hey, a very, very solid performance. JP the Boss did a great job on that top side. After that hiccup early on in the matchup versus Rutledge on that lock, they just seemed to scale and do better and better through that first game and the second game. And I mean, this is the type of composition that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of come playoffs. It's going to be the roaming supports with the mages bot and these super strong top and jungles, who are just going to be outplaying as much as they can, using supports to invade and play as 2 or 3 as much as possible. And I mean, this is sort of what we're going to see. Theory of Everything, for those wondering, have now secured their spot as the 5th seed in their group. That means they are going to be the people waiting at the end of the CCS gauntlet, um, which is going to be tomorrow, I believe, at 8 o'clock EST, where we have best of ones versus the 6th and 7th seeds of each group. And after that best of one, they will play the 5th seed that is going to be waiting for them to play a best of 3 for the last 2 spots in playoffs starting at 9 p.m. EST. I believe that will be on both CCS 1 and CCS 2 for the various groups. So be here for that. And I mean, hey, big ups for Theory of Everything. We are going to try and get an interview sorted for you guys in the stream. But yeah, I mean, any final thoughts, Soren, on the series before we get into these interviews?
Dan Yorick.
True.
I, I, that's my
That's,
thoughts.
I
Dan
mean,
Yorick.
ban Yorick or have a
Average.
better counter.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, but in all seriousness, yeah, I think it was actually a really good game from Theory of Everything. I think that's actually probably the best case scenario for them. Obviously, that does not help them rise in the standings. It does keep them in the gauntlet matches. However, when you are having to play a whole extra game opposed to everyone else in playoffs, even just not having to play one extra game, even if it is a best of one, is great. So they don't drop into having to go through those pre-qualifiers. But also having the momentum, having a really good win against a team that is technically a higher seed than you, that is a great piece of momentum to take you into the gauntlet and into playoffs. So I think Theory of Everything are going to be coming in a lot stronger than they would have if they just got in fresh at the beginning of the day. And I think that's everything you could pretty much wish for from Theory of Everything. So That's massive for them. But we are going to send it over to a quick break. And when we're back, we're going to have an interview ready and locked and loaded. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a minute. Thank you so much for waiting, but we are here with our interviewee. It is JP, the boss, the player up on top side that absolutely ran through their opponents in game number two. JP, I obviously just want to start with the most basic of questions. How do you and the team feel after that rather strong win as it is the last week of regular
I
season?
will not lie. It's a good feeling. We've been struggling all season. Um, and we went into last night. We decided to do a kind of a for fun, just um, we picked a scrim opponent that was frankly very very weak, and just decided to kind of do for fun and just try and hit him. Hit him with the kitchen sink just to get some confidence going. And we tried some things, and those things worked. And so we went into this tonight, and we were like, just do the same shit we did last night. Um, and then a couple other things. I'm feeling a lot more confident on my Mordekaiser, which I think helped us open up a lot of our comps. Um, so I think that was. I see redacted talking a lot about my eyebrows. I got the caterpillars. But yeah, dude. I have to say, I think we really fixed a lot of things last night, and we've really worked hard to get better together as a squad. Um, and for me to be the biggest issue on the team last night or tonight and last night is a really good progress, I think, as a squad. So I think everybody played phenomenally tonight, and hopefully we'll play just as well tomorrow night.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, you mentioned the Mordekaiser a little bit. I sort of wanted to take you back on a trip, on a quick journey to the past. Have you played that matchup, Locke versus Mordekaiser, before, or were
I
you
have
sort of
never
just
laned
feeling it
against
out?
Locke before.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Um,
Um,
can
I got burst
you
for a
sort of?
thousand damage.
That's true. Yeah, no, it's I mean, you were definitely right for taking the
Crazy.
exhaust, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of take me through your thought process during draft. I know you guys are sort of selling your souls to play the mage's bots. Is that sort
Yeah.
of, do you think, not to give too many strats away, but do you think that's going to be sort of the strongest piece of the meta going forward?
I think, yeah, putting Alex on something that he can carry on, regardless of if it's a mage, if it's like a smolder, if it's a Sivir, something with wave clear, something you can scale on. We're not a team that's going to be able to outhand you in the early game. No, at least not most of the time, and certainly not towards bot side. So playing for that scaling in the bot lane, I think, has been something that we knew we were going to look towards the end of the split, and I think that's kind of just going to be our strategy going forward. Is just make sure we can get some scaling going bot lane, and then something stable, top lane. Something I'm comfortable on is what I mean. Whether
Nice.
that's like blind Yorick or blind Garen or blind Ornn or whatever, give me counter pick, whatever the hell.
Nice. I mean, I will say you were definitely, we said it on stream and wanted to compliment you after that first whoopsie versus the lock in game one. You sort of
Yeah,
power ramped through the remaining game and a half, and
yeah.
really were on your stuff towards the end of game two. um I will say now, you have won the last week of the regular season. You have secured yourself as the one who will wait at the end of the gauntlet.
Yeah.
um you will be facing, I believe, the winners of Gojo's Gym versus TMG. I know TMG have not done
I'm
the
excited.
best in regular season.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts and or concerns going into the gauntlet tomorrow?
I think Goja's gym looks very strong. I think TMG, we caught them in on an off week. Um, I think they're not bad teams at all. Um, so I mean, obviously time will tell. I think it'll certainly be an entertaining match to watch, no matter what happens. Uh, I don't know what's going
Oh,
on
I
the other
might
side of the.
I might have the wrong opponents for you guys. I believe you're
Oh,
playing the winners of Khan and TMG. I'm not sure.
oh, I'm excited for a rematch with Comp. I'm disappointed they
Or
got rid of
Skyloft. I'm sorry.
Anarchal
I'm
Demon.
completely screwing you over.
Was it
My bad.
Anarchal Demon? I believe was their top laner. Yeah, so it'll just be the 8 p.m. match then, because um, Khan just skips because they Skyloft dropped. Correct? Am I remembering the right team? Anyways,
I believe
yeah,
so.
I'm excited to play against Khan again. I think they were very, very strong opponents. Week two. Um, Frankly, I think if we'd been playing together longer, we would have beaten them.
Yeah, I
And I
think I
think in
think I
this,
think I might have gotten you screwed up a little bit, but I guess sort of just here. your initial
Yeah,
thoughts of being the. I have a thought, and I want your opinion.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
Flame
absolutely.
Redactor and Chelsea are going to get mad at me for this. You are technically the better team as the ones waiting at the end of this qualifier bracket.
Yeah,
Are you worried at all for the potential advantage? I am a player as well. I play a lot of league myself. On a team myself. I am a believer that game one is always a warm up game. Whether you
yeah.
win or lose, I think game one is a warm up game. Are you guys going to try and get together at 8 o'clock to play your own warm up game, or are you going to try and watch and glean insight from the match before?
I'll be
Because
playing
I'm always
before.
worried. Okay,
I
because
will be
I'm
playing
always personally
before.
worried. Yeah, I'm
I
always
don't know
worried
what
with
the
that
rest of the
one
team wants to do.
match.
I would assume that we're going to be doing a little bit of warm up. Certainly, at least some 1v1s or something similar. But um, I'll be warming up, and I think um, whether we go in cold or warm, I haven't seen a difference, to be completely honest.
Fair enough.
I don't think it matters
All
at
right,
this level of play particularly. Beyond like maybe getting a 10-minute, just hands warm up. But
fair enough.
Alrighty. Well, I've got the final question, and if you've been
yeah, far
watching for
away.
the last couple of weeks, I'm sure you know what the final question is going to be. I love stirring a little bit of drama. Do you have any, first of all, shout outs to teams, friends, family, whatever, but also do you have any call outs? You talked about a couple of teams that you would love to have a rematch against. Is there any players you would want to call out before we get to the gauntlet tomorrow?
I'm disappointed that Anarchal Demon is no longer on Con. Actually, I tried out against him for his spot on that Con roster. So I'm disappointed he's not there. He's a phenomenal player. I've never really been able to get an edge in a lane against him. So I'm disappointed I won't get to lane against him again. But no, I mean, um, I'm here with a pretty good squad. I think we have a good shot if we play like we did tonight of making a deep playoff run. I hope. Um, hopefully, we can see uh, whoever ends up being in finals. But yeah, I hope we can make a good run. Shout out to Triple P for taking a risk on me as a rookie, fresh face in comp.
Awesome. Well,
Promise not to
thank you.
enter lane.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the desk here. Thank you so much for being our interviewee. It was an absolute pleasure to hear you. And of course, good luck. I don't know if I'm going to get the cast for you guys tomorrow, but I know I'm casting the
Oh,
gauntlet.
terrible.
And I look forward to see if you guys make it through. I hope I get the cast for you
Yeah,
guys
absolutely.
at the
Well,
game.
I'll
Okay.
I'll I'll see you guys on the Rift. And Anarchal, I do fucking remember. I have PTSD, dog.
Thank you so much for joining us. But
Yeah, thank
Septi,
you.
I believe that pretty much wraps everything up for the night. Do you have any final thoughts before we send it home?
No, I think this has been an awesome revival to the CCS league. I'm super happy that the
Yeah.
Apollo League has done as well as it has. Um, JP, I think players like you are exactly the type that we want in this league. Super excited, super fun to be here, and just great personalities. And I'm looking forward to more of that. We got playoffs coming up. Everyone has a shot of making it. You could be the biggest underdog, started all the way from 7 seed and go all the way to playoffs if you want, but or all the way to the end of playoffs if you want. But I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm giddy. I'm waiting for next week
Yeah, I'm hyped.
and
Absolutely.
I'm
tomorrow,
pretty excited.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still so much, of course. Like you mentioned, we have the gauntlet tomorrow. I believe then playoffs start. Is it next week or is there a week break until
Hope we get
playoffs?
gauntlet straight into playoffs.
Probably
Beautiful
right into
playoffs.
playoffs. So there's a lot of League of Legends to watch. I agree. I think the revival of CCS has really could not have gone much better. It is absolutely a resounding success
And I'm
so
glad we have
far.
some dark forces as well coming in.
Oh yeah.
Gojo's gym, I mean, complete 180. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. But with that being said, thank you so much. That's going to be it for us tonight. Of course, special thanks to, JP, you for the interview, but for the entirety of the group of players who played tonight, gave us some incredible games to watch. Of course, the production behind the scenes. We have the wonderful Mr. Fantastic as well as Romeo doing the prod and the observing. Massive shout out to them. And of course, shout out to everyone making sure all the stuff is happening behind the scenes over at the actual tournament, the tournament side. And of course, for you guys watching at home, because if you're not watching, what are we doing it for? You can check us out tomorrow, same time, same place for the beginning of the gauntlet. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.